Hey guys, first Regardsman here. Today I want to talk about Space Marine 2's Year 3 and the updated roadmap for Year 2 and what you can expect in Patch 13 and a bit of speculation plus all the info we have on the release date. And just my overall thoughts after having some time to stew on the upcoming content. Now Space Marine 2 just had its April community update yesterday, and we have received some major info regarding not only the future of Year 2 but also the confirmation of a Year 3 plan for the game as well. A lot of players for some reason doubted that Space Marine 2 is actually going to get a Year 3 at all. I don't know where the sentiment came from, to be honest, because Year 2 was strictly more successful in peak player counts than the vast majority of Year 1, and beyond just player counts, Space Marine 2 was also spearheading the backlog earnings of Pull Up Entertainment, which is the parent company of Focus Entertainment, so all signs point towards a Year 3, and here we are with confirmation of that at long last. Patch 13 does not have an official release date just yet, but it has been reconfirmed for quarter 2, with the release date most likely being mid to late next month, since there is an ongoing community event for the Infiltrator helmet, and previously Saber has never simultaneously released an update with a community event like this, especially one as big as this one is shaping to be. We also most likely have the Warhammer Skulls event towards the end of next month as well, since it is confirmed to be returning for 2026, just like we saw last year. And last time we had info for not only Space Marine 2 but other games like Dark Tide, and I expect this year we'll have more info on Dawn of War 4 and Total War 40k as well this time around. As for Space Marine 2's new roadmap, I mainly want to go over the major changes here from what we had previously, since there's not only entirely new cosmetic additions, but we've also had the removal of patch 15 from this year entirely. Focus and Saber have said that anything not showing up from the original Year 2 roadmap will be rolled over into the Year 3 roadmap that we'll probably be getting in August, just like we had with Year 2. So we now have patch 13 and patch 14 coming out in quarter 2 and quarter 3. They were aiming for an April or May release of patch 13 originally, but this roadmap change does put the most conservative release date window all the way into June. But I would personally expect this one around late May, presumably alongside Warhammer Skulls or shortly after. But what are the major changes for patch 13 in the updated roadmap? Well, we no longer have the progression update tied to this patch at all, unless by progression update they were actually talking about the new customization feature that they're adding instead of addressing the leveling grind or weapon unlocks, which would kind of suck because the prestige grind in this game is the worst part of it for a lot of new players, because even if you're max speed grinding out levels in Space Marine 2, it can still take upwards of like 8 hours to fully prestige one class, and that's with a tactical class, Auspex Arnold, on your team that's helping you nuke every single boss while also taking every single gene seed on absolute difficulty. And a more realistic scenario for most players is a 12-hour slog through multiple missions while progressively increasing your difficulty. With that being said, instead of the normal progression update, the ordeal system is getting a massive expansion this patch with the new Ultra Grind challenges that will add war gear sharing for things like sniper capes and the Heavy's Iron Halo on different classes. So you will be getting these on lore accurate classes like Tactical and presumably Bulwark as well, since Bulwark still needs access to the Ultramarine Iron Halo to complete his Sergeant Matora's look. I think this is an incredible addition to the game. My friend Jefficus and I have talked about the lack of non-DLC cosmetic items in Space Marine 2 many times previously. Now Saber has addressed this somewhat with the heroic cosmetic items that will also be getting an expansion in patch 13, with a Wolf Priest helmet, Heresy Black Templar helmet, and what looks like a Minotaur's or Ultramarine helmet, but having challenge related unlocks beyond a currency is really only available for 4 cosmetic items in Space Marine 2 currently in the ordeal section, and these are not really interesting cosmetics either, if I'm being honest. And one of the greatest examples of a progression and challenge based cosmetic unlock system for a game is from Halo Reach. There were so many unlocks and incredibly cool looking helmets that allow you to flex your drip after playing for hundreds if not thousands of hours to unlock certain items, and Space Marine 2 desperately needs something like that in my opinion, because I have people that come up to me and say, hey, I'm new to Space Marine 2, I only have 200 hours so far, which is already an absurd amount of time on the game for a lot of people. And what I gather from that is that a lot of the players in Space Marine 2 want a reason to keep playing the game, and I think the best way to do that beyond new gameplay content, which is also coming, is through ordeals and penance systems with cosmetic unlocks. Because a lot of players are completely willing to jump through hoops like they're scrapped from Ice Age going after an acorn for an in-game reward, as long as that reward is equivalent to their time investment. So hopefully this new war gear system will add that long-term cosmetic grind the game's been missing, while also having a lot easier to obtain cosmetic items sprinkled throughout for all players. Now, patch 13 will contain the Iron Halo and cape portion of this war gear update, and patch 14 will also have robes and tabards added later as well. Now, the other thing that patch 13 moved up beyond the progression update is is a new Terminus boss enemy that will now be in patch 14 instead. We already know from data mines that this is going to be a Scarab Occult Terminator Sorcerer with a bunch of exploding balls of doom and Psyker Tornadoes, which is pretty much tradition among wizards in video games, and we might see some early images for that boss in next month's community update, but for now it has been pushed forward to the next patch. And on the note of things that have been completely confirmed from prior leaks, we did have full confirmation of all the heroic weapons coming for this patch, starting off with the new heroic plasma pistol, which will have an increased charge shot damage. Charge shot damage on the plasma pistol is already incredible, especially with perks like plasma boost on tactical, so this one could be a top tier option. My only worry is that the charge rate speed will be inferior to the rate of fire plasma and have this one get power crept a little bit, but that really depends on how high the damage increase actually is, and Saber only alluded to the stats on one of the new heroic weapons, so I'll have to wait and see for the pistol here. Now the next weapon we already knew was coming is the new heroic power axe, which is also confirmed to be the block defense type. This one will apparently let you move out of your power stance and then perform a power backstep manually with your next held attack, which is definitely a unique effect and not one anyone was really expecting from this new axe. This could be really good though, since the power backstep is capable of staggering pretty much any enemy that can be staggered in the game, but it's also dependent on the base damage stats of this weapon, and this one also has a pretty obvious and Carmine skin used by the Blood Angel Sanguinary Guard, so we're getting ever closer to properly repping the great value brand Dante build. All we need now is a heroic Inferno pistol. But the heroic weapon we know basically everything about though is the new heroic chainsword. This will be a block defense type that can reach a maximum of 3 charges instead of 2, and a lot of players expected this from the prior perk effect image leaks that had the number 3 on the chainsword icon. And since I know a lot of you have asked what block charges even do, I will put a link to my defense type video that will go over everything to know about these weapons in the description below. But beyond the additional charges, they said this is the return of the Artificer block chainsword, which is an ancient piece of lore attached to this game. Back in the before times, the dark ages of year 1, as some people would say, there were legends, really more like historical documents, of an Artificer chainsword that could swing with the furious speed of a fencing weapon while retaining the monstrous power and stagger of a block weapon, until an unfortunately cataclysmic event known as Patch 9 robbed it of its power and rebalanced all the weapon stats. But apparently this new block chainsword is going to have similar stats to the previous one while also having an extra block charge for even more damage, which could make this the single best option for the chainsword in the entire game if it's remotely close to the prior one. And I for one am happy to see the return of this to the game. This also explains why it has a White Scars skin attached to it, as the White Scars chapter is known for being quite fast. So those are all the heroic weapons coming in patch 13. There was also another data mine for a heroic Thunderhammer in the future, but that one is probably coming in patch 14 since we are getting 6 more heroic weapons after this one, and we will likely get even more leaks on the remaining 5 once this patch officially launches. That being said, there is a new secondary weapon coming this patch as well with a bulk carbine SMG option. Now, a fully automatic secondary option is something that players have been asking for forever pretty much. A lot of you guys want a Stormbolter option, but the major question beyond damage I have about this thing will be the contested health recovery. Since CHP regen on automatic weapons like the standard bulk carbine is actually pretty top tier in the game already, and if this one is similar to that, I think it could make for a great option on classes like Assault and Bulwark that can often find themselves having a bit harder time recovering contested health at range without weapons like the plasma pistol or maybe like perfect headshots on a heavy bolt pistol. But let me know how you guys feel about an automatic sidearm. I have a feeling this will be a pretty popular option in game, especially compared to the previous Inferno pistol and the Volkite secondary options. And beyond weapons, there will also be the Battle Barge expansion that was originally planned for patch 12 and got pushed back to patch 13. Focus Entertainment actually released an official video for this one on top of putting it in the community post, and it will allow you to spawn enemies for either faction, check damage numbers, or just make your own mini horde mode. The features here don't look too substantial compared to the testing menu mod we already have on the PC version of the game, but this should be a great tool for all the console players that don't have access to that and have been left without any practice mode since launch. So let me know how you feel about this one, especially if you're on console and have been looking forward to something like this for a while now. And the next major thing we'll be getting that I'll go over even more in the future is the Siege mode rework. They have finally said that they are removing the timer from Siege. This has been one of the most controversial things about the mode during its launch in patch 8 and beyond. In patch 13, the Siege mode is supposed to never end because of a timer, and will only make the enemies increasingly stronger over time instead, until they presumably just one-shot you. And the whole reason a timer existed in Siege mode in the first place is because the game will just crash eventually no matter what due to a memory error, and even if it doesn't crash, the performance already gets significantly worse over time, especially during boss fights. Saber did also say in the March community update last month that they want Siege mode to be shorter games with more intense matches instead, so that does make me wonder if they're going to hard cap the game mode's maximum waves or something, just to make it so the enemies get significantly faster ramping damage numbers instead to force an end via death rather than a timer. We will have to wait for more info on that, but we also know that they're adding new requisition items that got leaked previously, like a commissar to buff your guardsmen and stuff like that, on top of the ability to gain accolades from the mode. The biggest thing they said they're adding here though is the Hive Tyrant and Vortex Beast as potential boss spawns, and the Vortex Beast especially is a difficult boss to fight in a horde mode even compared to the Hellbrute, so I am curious how this is going to be implemented and if it will have its own arena or something. And on the note of the new Siege map that was originally supposed to be on the Year 2 roadmap for patch 15, that is nowhere to be found on the updated roadmap. Maybe they'll add this to the Siege mode rework this patch instead, and honestly I think it would be for the best to push that new Siege map up to this patch as well, since launching your Siege rework with a new map would do a lot for the player interest compared to just new bosses and some requisition items. But let me know what you guys think. Do these changes sound cool to you? Are you even interested in the Siege mode, and what would it take to bring you back to it? But as far as a new map is concerned, we may not be getting one for the Siege mode, but there is a new operations map coming this patch, which will be on Kadaku. They released some images for this that show it is a nighttime operation taking place in a swamp biome. We already had leaked voice lines that pretty much confirm it will have both Tyranids and Chaos as enemies, just like the previous new operation, Disruption. And this will benefit the new boss coming in patch 14, since we'll have more operations to actually fight it on without adding a purely new Chaos mission. This brings me to the cosmetics that are coming out with this patch. We actually got even more images for the new Iron Hands champion skin that Focus actually forgot to add to the original community post with a look at the Omniscient Axe skin and the Tech Marine. This one looks way better than I originally thought it was going to, and we also know that Saber intends to add in Deathwatch cosmetics and other customization options to the Tech Marine beyond this as well. We even got a glimpse of the Iron Hands cosmetic options beyond the champion skin with an image of one of the 4 successor chapters of the Iron Lords and some of their unique armor parts that are coming, like a robot leg. We already know the chapter pack will contain Sons of Medusa, Brazen Claws, Red Talons, and Iron Lords, with 4 unique armor parts beyond the champion skin, but these new cosmetics do look pretty damn good in my opinion. I'm not even the biggest fan of Iron Hands, but they did a pretty good job compared to the other chapter packs I've seen, so I'm definitely looking forward to this one. And speaking of the champion skin, we also got the reveal of what the redacted champion pack will actually be, with a Salamander champion once again. This will almost certainly be on the heavy class, since not only was the previous Salamander champion skin one of the most controversial since they put it on the sniper class, but heavy has also not received a single champion skin since launch outside of the special edition Ultramarine skin that came with him at the beginning of the game. So he's definitely overdue an upgrade, and he's also the perfect fit since Salamanders are all about heavy weaponry like multi-meltas and pyre cannons anyways. I know a lot of you guys want the champion pack to be a Deathwatch skin, and so did I, but Saber did confirm already that more Deathwatch cosmetics are coming no matter what, so you'll just have to wait a bit longer for those, but you will get them eventually. And other things we will be getting eventually are successor chapter leaks we had previously. I'm not sure where these will fit into the new roadmap since they have shifted things around a little bit, but Saber already said they want color and decal expansions for things like knee pads, so expect more successor chapter customization options in the future. When it comes to the previously showcased Tyrannic War veteran armor piece that Focus put out in March, this might be coming with patch 14 rather than patch 13 since we already saw the new heroic store items, and this doesn't seem tied to the new Ultra Grinder ordeals, which were only shown to be the Iron Halo and capes so far. But that is pretty much everything that is coming for patch 13 and year 2. Now year 3 will likely get its roadmap around August, just like we had last year for year 2, but I would also expect an anniversary patch like we had with patch 10. We might even get a PTS for that one since Focus did say they didn't do it previously thanks to deadlines. The confirmation of a year 3 has me super excited because this year might be even more substantial after the success of year 2 over year 1, and this means we're probably going to get a new melee weapon or maybe even a new class next year, and Focus previously said their priority for a new melee option would be a greatsword. And while technically it's not confirmed, if we do get another melee weapon, it should be this. But let me know what you guys want to see from year 3 and how you feel about the updated roadmap. We'll probably be getting even more information on all of this at Warhammer Skulls as well. And I will be covering all the new builds, cosmetics, and game modes for patch 13 and future patches on this channel. So if you like content like this, subscribe for more. If you want to catch me live to ask me questions about the game or just come hang out, you can find me here on YouTube or on Twitch with a link in the video description alongside a link to my community Discord. And as always guys, thank you for watching, take it easy, bye.